All right, we'll call this meeting to order. Roll call: Miles Davidson for District 3, Cody Compton for District 1, and Charles Dodson for District 2. Notice of the meeting was properly posted on January 20, 2022. First item was approval of minutes.
Move to approve.
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Departmental items. Items number 2 is discussion possible action regarding dedication of main law library conference room to Judge Ray C. Elliott. Ma'am,
Sir,
that's a weird place for the podium.
that's okay. I can
hold
do
on.
it.
Okay. You know,
Thank you.
I know you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and if you notice, I put on the agenda that the library board had approved this way back, in August. Because we thought we had lots of time for when Judge Elliott was going to retire, and I'd even told him back in August, and 4 years, no problem. Well, then it was announced in January that he's going to retire the 31st. So I apologize for all this extra chaos. It was never my intent. The library would like to dedicate our conference room to Judge Elliott with this board's approval and the commissioner's approval. And that dedication, what that means is hanging a picture, as we have other judges. We've got one of Judge Owens, Rakestraw, different ones from different years that have served the courts. And as you know, Judge Elliott has, over 40 years of service to the courts.
So is that something you typically do? Have you in the past for each one of those individuals come back and asked for approval to hang a picture on the wall?
No, we've never asked you what pictures I hang on the wall.
Okay.
There's judges' pictures on the wall from before my time.
Yeah.
And I move them a lot.
I mean, I just don't see that we need to do it, do we? Just let her library. I mean, she operates the library.
And the Board of Trustees has already approved the dedication. It's my board.
Yeah. She's the one that determines what should be and shouldn't be essentially in your office.
Well, I go by what my board dedicates to us, but we are in the library to your, as you guys let us be.
Right. Well, I don't know that we get to let you. I think it's statutory that we have to do it.
This is true. This is true.
I mean, that's here and there.
I missed some of, I was in and out on the DOCC meeting, the last one. I heard Commissioner Mullen mention some stuff about having a kind of a policy in place or whatever whenever we're looking at stuff like this. Were you guys in the room for that whole discussion? I hadn't had a chance to go back and review, and I know this agenda item's different as it relates to, it's not mentioned a courtroom. It's now the library conference room, but it still says dedication. So I don't know what Commissioner Mon was wanting us to look at, and if that would affect, if it would still be in place in regards to the change language of this agenda.
No, I don't know. I mean, I would move to proceed as her board has recommended as well. And then if they feel like they need to go further with it, fine. If not,
No, it'll stop here. If we do the library dedication, we won't do a courtroom. This will stop here.
Yeah, you good with that?
Yeah, I just, whatever that process and policy is, I don't know what it is. I just don't want to step on the feet of Commissioner Mullen if he wanted us to develop a process as it relates to something like this. Like I said, I only heard parts of that conversation, and if that's what he wanted, I would be in favor of moving forward in the direction that Commissioner Mullen asked us to look at. But you're with Commissioner Mullen all the time, so I'll defer to your judgment on that. I just didn't want to do something contrary to what the board
That was for
voted
the
last time.
courtroom
Right.
specifically.
Yeah, and I didn't know how specific the conversation was in BOCC
No,
related
it was-
to,
it was all
is
about
it
that.
dedication of any space or dedication of courtroom, so.
Precedence and precedence was mentioned multiple time, and precedence is and has already been set for the law library. So if we're concerned about precedence, let's proceed with the way it's been done before, as the word suggests. So
Like,
Which is that they've just gone and done this before, correct, without any, yeah,
well, have you dedicated?
oh yeah,
We have dedicated, well, the library itself is dedicated to Judge Dixon.
Okay, and that didn't go across the
Yes, it did.
BOCC?
It did,
Okay, so,
years ago.
that was naming
That was, yeah,
That's
the whole library is,
yeah.
the external placing of the plaque.
So here's what I'm gonna say. This group voted in favor of this last time. I don't have an issue with it. My only issue is that BOCC took particular action. It was based on your boss's request. So if you're fine moving this forward, if you don't think that is contrary to what his wishes were as it relates to an item similar to this, I'm fine. I just want to make sure that we're giving deference to BOCC.
no, I appreciate
on
that. I just think it makes sense to just go ahead and affirm what she's requesting. If they feel like they need to move forward with it, great. If not, if they feel like there's already precedence that they can do this on their own and they don't even have to move forward with it. Does that sound good? So that's my motion.
Is there a second? All second, all in favor?
Aye.
so for clarification,
Go forth and prosper.
we're dedicating the conference room to Judge Elliott. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was waiting. All right, item number 3, discussion and possible action to add court clerk 4th floor office remodel to annex building repair projects on capital improvement.
I put this agenda item on, and I just know that the court clerk has plans for up there, and I just think it makes sense that that's where it would be. So all I want to do is admonish Stacy to get with the court clerk and maybe get a realistic cost that can be put on the capital projects list. And when he brings it back, then we can move forward with whether we want to put it on there or not.
So you want to put it on the list now or not?
No, I just want, first I wanted him to get together and get a cost together. So really just admonishing him that. You guys are good with that. I don't know we even need a motion for it, but just being fully transparent here.
Did you say admonish?
I am, or instructing.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about
I don't
that?
think I would admonish you.
Okay,
Yeah, I think this agenda item is specific to add it to the capital projects list, which I don't have an issue adding it to there. The only issue I have at this point is not having a number
Right.
to actually add to
exactly.
it. So I think we don't really necessarily need action on this other than letting Stacy know that we would be happy to entertain an item in the future that has some form of specificity to it as it relates to a dollar amount for the court clerk's
Yeah, and if you're
space on the
comfortable
fourth
with
floor.
going ahead and we'll just, as soon as he determines it, we go ahead and move for it to be added to it, because you sound very open to that, then also move that.
Okay. What I'm saying is I think Stacy needs to get with the court clerk's office to get that information, and then Stacy put it on another agenda item so we can add it.
Sounds
That
great.
way.
Okay. No further action on my part needed, as far as I'm
I
concerned.
mean, I think it's needed. It is, but
Yeah,
I think we're
I'm tracking
jumping the
with you.
gun just a hair if we don't have numbers or anything.
I'm tracking with you.
Okay.
So
Motion to receive the information.
and I'll go ahead and move to strike this item for next time, so it will not be on next
Yeah, let's take
Well-
care of the first one.
Motion
there a
receive
second?
information.
Okay, I will second.
All those in favor?
I
Aye.
move to strike this item. Oh,
If you want to. It doesn't
Bring it
matter.
back
Yeah.
You
with
can
the
always bring it
cost,
back.
so
Yeah.
it'll be a different
Plus,
plan.
Yep.
you mentioned something about cost, there's not
Right.
attachment. Really,
Well, if we defer it,
then you can't.
then you can't change it for a future agenda item with a dollar amount listed. I think what the discussion is going in and striking it now so we can bring it back with that specificity listed in the future agenda item.
Quite frankly, number 11, you can just.
okay.
So
Address
there's a
it
motion
there.
and a
Yeah.
second. Cody, were you not the second?
Yes, I was the second.
All right.
I
All right.
believe.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
I
Aye.
Item number 4, discussion possible action to replace drinking fountains in the courthouse. Kiefer, Chris, who's got an update?
Miles, you're doing a great job chairing this meeting. Thank you.
On the drinking fountains, we have everything to bring you up to speed. We've gotten all the proposals. We have everything communicating with the purchasing. It's just on hold in lieu of funding.
Okay, so what's the, you say communication with purchasing and funding, where are we at?
Well,
with that?
purchasing is ready to put it out for bid once we get funding in place.
What was our estimated expense on this project? Yeah, I thought it was a little over 50.
Yes, it was in excess of 50. So it has to go to bid. So that's where we are.
Yeah. How far in excess of 50 are we looking? Do you know?
I,
Po-
And that was months ago. So I'm not sure to what degree any numbers may have changed.
I thought 40 was material, so we were putting it in ourselves, so. I don't know, all of it.
Well, I understand what you're saying, that we can't move forward because we don't have money for it. But if we don't even know what an estimated amount really is at this point, how do we know how much money to set aside? And then the global conversation from there is, where would we get that money from for the project? But
There's certainly, I would,
it's 60,000 on the capital projects list.
that 60,000 is what I thought it was, yeah. But that's been some time ago, and how many times I tell you
So
I
let
don't
me
believe
ask
in
you
change
this.
orders? No
Stacey,
change orders.
we do these rather often. We put stuff out to bid, and then
Well,
we put stuff out to bid all the time that we don't necessarily.
the funding source for a project this small could come out of this committee's money. Got a couple $100,000 left, if you wanted it to.
No.
Would be one option. So that you're not just putting the industry through a bid process with no intent.
Yeah,
But it's such a low dollar amount, and there's options for some of this stuff.
and part of the purpose of setting that money aside for this group, while it is to do general projects, it's also to have some flexibility when we need to move fast. And this isn't necessarily a project that we have to move immediately. I mean, it's going out to bid, right? It's going to have to go out to bid, so there's going to be some time lag there. So I'm not necessarily comfortable tying up all of that flexible money that we have to move fast in an urgent situation.
Could our friends at OMES be of help to us?
How so?
Anyone? Well, simply tell them what we want to do, and I think we not circumvent, but expedite the process. We've done so, it seems, on the 6th floor. Would that be a good?
Well, you still You need
Still
to pay for it faster now. So.
Well, but I mean, I think
the
we can
problem
move-
seems to be your, how you gonna pay for it?
Do you have money in your budget?
No,
Okay. Are you requesting money?
no, because I don't know how much to request.
Okay,
Mhm.
so how do we find out how much we need to request?
We'll ask Chantel to put this out for bid.
Chantel standing up behind you, I bet she's probably already on the ball.
That's awesome. I like it when a
Especially
plan
after
comes
the meeting
together.
this morning down in Chantel's office. So, Chantel, what did you learn from your meeting this morning about water fountains?
The question that I propose to any department that comes with a bid is if you have funding source
Yep.
for this. I'm not asking for a purchase order that's in place or something that's in a pot of money already set aside because of actuals that'll come in through the bid process. So the question is whether or not they just have funding available for this. So when my question is asked and returned no or I don't know, I usually ask the department to look into that further before we go through the process of drafting, advertising, and bidding. There's definitely cost to that, and for the contractor to have responded through a proposal at a risk of it not being awarded, that's what we're trying to avoid. So if there is money, which I think Chris's intent with this item and Keith is just to put one approval from the board for this project, and then to identify, yes, there are funds available, let's proceed. That is all that I was looking for.
Well, the project's been approved.
I'm not gonna tie up my estimator's time and efforts if you don't have the money or if there's some likelihood that your plan may change. Sorry, Oklahoma County.
Well, Keith, I think this has been identified as an item that we want to do. I think it's a matter of timing.
I'm just voicing a contractor's.
Are entities, when we got a whole bunch of things going on right now, right? Are entities opening water fountains right now?
Most of them are closed. Most any public touching transfer of fluids, that's all. I have not seen a water fountain in operation in 2 years.
I haven't either, and that's why I'm wondering if
Does that relieve us of the ADA responsibility in the courthouse? I mean, I don't know, I'm just asking.
well, if we had them installed right now, would we have them open or would they be turned off and not working?
That's a question for Don Gust, I think.
That's
Which is-
why
we should ask.
That's why I asked
Sure.
out there, outside of Oklahoma County, what are people doing with water fountains right now? And I think this is definitely something that we need to do. But when we're in an environment where we've got difficulty finding contractors, we've got increased costs everywhere because of supply chain issues, human capital issues, whatever. Is this something that you want to bite off while prices may be at their maximum and we may not even be able to turn them on whenever they are installed? Or is this something that we might want to wait on a little bit until we can actually safely deploy water fountains?
Tell us.
Just a question.
My understanding though, the ones, are they foot pedal? The ones that I think they're just like the ones at Life Church, I can tell you that Life Church campuses are using them right now.
ADA compliant push bar.
Yeah, don't the ones have foot pedals? The ones that you all,
No.
oh, they are?
That's what we had gotten quotes for.
Right, because they're ADA compliant, but are those still being utilized in
When
the
we
COVID
replaced
environment?
these in Annex, we had to change vendors because of supply issues there too, so.
I don't know. I'm not trying to rain on the water fountain parade because I would love it if we had them right now and they were turned off.
Yeah.
Or turned off if necessary. But I just don't know if we've got other projects that we can accomplish and open up and put online in service. And if this is something that we move forward on, but we can't put online and in service, would our efforts be more efficiently utilized in another manner?
Perhaps, I don't know. We need water fountains, we put in water fountains. We make sure they're ADA compliant. If you don't want to put in water fountains, we don't put in water fountains.
How long have we gone without them in the courthouse?
Months and months. The ones that were in service were turned off. The plumbing was bad. The waste lines were leaking because of the way they're situated in the elevator shafts. Also, the supply line, the potable water supply, is not good.
Yeah, so
Why is
that
that?
was months ago?
Why is that?
Why is that?
Yeah, what's not good about it?
Well, I don't know. I've got a sample in my office if you'd want to come to look. Maybe you've seen it.
Seems like there was just.
And maybe some lead solder on the copper uh, pipes. Could be, those using chewing tobacco that decide to expectorate in them on the fifth floor.
Okay.
Which gets to the point of, in the COVID environment, even if you have foot pedals or whatever, that doesn't alleviate those other dangers.
According to the CDC, it's very low risk that the virus spreads. Areas covering water fountains can be removed.
Really? Say
But,
that out loud.
Nope. So
If we
I
don't
think what
need
you
them,
need to
if we
do-
don't need them, we can stop the conversation, please.
No.
it's not going to stop the conversation. I think what you need to do is feed forward and let us identify the funds.
Okay,
That's what.
There's funding out there somewhere for $60,000.
we can do that.
And because it may not be this fiscal year, it may be next fiscal year.
We'll do
It may
that.
be the year after.
So Chantel is looking puzzled, which means she doesn't know that.
I just wanted to
We
ask,
weren't
you
clear.
mentioned next fiscal year or the year after. Is the direction to proceed with bidding or no? I think that's kind of where we're at. If you want us to proceed with bidding, that'll be very shortly within this fiscal year that'll need to be awarded.
Right, but you still have. There are other hangups, right? So even if we go out to bid,
You would need to be
That-
prepared to
that's-
contract that when it's awarded.
how long is that bid process?
You would have 45 days for bidding, and then a little bit of a short amount of time for contract
Okay.
preparedness. My question, that's within this fiscal year, and I just wanted to make sure
That's 2 months.
which fiscal year we're bidding this in,
So we're
is my
3 months
question.
out from the FY. That puts us about 3 months out from the FY. Okay.
I'm hearing this year.
Proceed as discussed. Yeah, put it out to bid.
Okay, thank you.
Do we need a motion to put it out to bid for $60,000? All right, is there any action on this item? Feel like we could just
I move to distribute the report.
Is this something, somebody mentioned this earlier, is this something that OMES does? And we could reach out to them so that we could get a price quote and see how much the cost would be.
You can purchase general contractors from OMS now. They're interested in multi-million-dollar projects, not a $60,000.
Yeah, which is part of what I was saying earlier. If we move forward on a project like this, are we gonna really get kind of taken on our, what we pay, because we're gonna be a low priority on, with a lot of contractors out there. But I guess we won't know that until bids come back in. And if we don't like the bid, we can,
go back out.
Yeah.
change Scope of work, and there's 1,000 things we can do. Is there any action on this item? There's
I'll second.
all those in favor.
Aye.
Like I heard the turtles. Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 5, discussion and possible action to present a progress report on the courthouse elevator upgrades.
Nothing to report at this time.
No action if there's not any questions. No question. Number 6, discussion of possible action to enter into a new service agreement with Vicinity. Our steam and chilled water vendor.
Waiting on the proposal.
From them?
Yeah, proposal.
And I'm assuming when we get that proposal, you'll attach it or make it available to us ahead of the meeting so we can preview.
Yes, of course, because there are going to be, judging from the
It'll be
previous
intricate.
contract, there are going to be difficult calculations
Right.
to absorb and understand.
Yeah.
And I'm certain there's going to be a change in the way things are calculated.
Thank you. Is there a motion to receive that update?
Second. Aye.
Aye.
Ooh, item number 7 is discussion possible action regarding an update from staff on capital projects specific to district number 2 or Oklahoma County New Front entrance security space allocation for clerk's books, first floor ICD purchase, new building. Is there any update to this item?
Yeah, I now have the appraisal for the new building. I didn't get it in time to get an item on.
Okay.
Probably need to do an executive session item so you can see that appraisal and then consider the 3 options that you've seen in the past and maybe decide how you might want to move forward with this particular project. Funding, again, is probably going to be an issue on it now, but I'll bring that to the next meeting, probably under executive session.
Motion to receive report.
Have you already prepared and presented us with the cost estimate on the first floor of this building on that west, south end?
I don't think we've got a good solid cost estimate for you.
Okay,
so-
if you can work towards that, that would be beneficial. Seems to me like that's probably the quickest, simplest mechanism, but I think that will be helpful information. So I'll second your motion, Charles.
There's a motion. Second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Number 8, discussion possible action regarding TIF 2 and TIF 8 budgets. Any
No changes.
No action. Item number 9, discussion possible action regarding the XXX Spring Bank Stabilization Project, River Project, Roadway Project, litigation.
The river project is substantially complete. We'll do a final inspection on that before the month's out. The roadway continues on schedule.
When's that, you showed drone footage last week?
At the
When was that?
BOCC.
Yeah, when was that taken?
That drone footage is probably about 3 weeks old now.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Motion to receive report.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 10, discussion possible action regarding the Canadian River Project near Wilshire Bridge east of, or west of. Stacy.
We're proceeding with trying to get a FEMA grant opportunity. We probably won't know anything about May or June, but we have a consultant on board working on that.
Yeah, District 1, we're complete with our piece of the project for now until we,
So the river gets back behind it.
yeah. That's what- for now, and that for now was yesterday, so hopefully it's still good, but anyway. Motion receive report.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Discussion possible action regarding capital improvements list.
No changes, but I will be taking the courthouse roof project off, and then maybe potentially next time we'll add the 4th floor.
Well, I mean, you can add it now and put a price on it. Action is amend, approve, approving as amended, deferring, denying, so on and so forth. So our actions are listed. They're extensive. So if you wanted to make a motion to add the 4th floor project to this,
So moved.
a price to be determined later. So
Yeah, so moved. Price to be determined.
there's a motion. Is there a second?
I mean, we'll need to receive and approve the update later with the dollar amounts on there. So, I mean, I'm fine putting it on there, but I mean, we'll need to see it again. So, yeah.
Yeah, second.
Yeah,
Okay.
second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Discussion and possible action regarding condition of and repairs needed to social services. I thought
Yeah, I
we made a
think
motion to strike this last time, if I recall correctly.
if we didn't, I wasn't in this meeting the whole time. I will make a motion to strike for now. This is pending some finalization from the policy and governance group on social services programs and what kind of space they're going to need. So I think striking this item and then we can bring it back once there's some definitive movement from policy and governance.
I will second that motion.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion clearly passes. Item 13, discussion of possible action regarding the transfer, maintenance, and repair of security infrastructure equipment in and around the courthouse. This item was requested by the sheriff. I think we've already discussed this.
He gave you a list
In the
of the
BOCC.
equipment, but then you'd ask for some follow-up information. I don't remember what that was.
And I believe Keith was going to be working with the sheriff's office as well, right? Kind of trying to figure out.
One of the things Keith has is Keith's biggest issue is that he does not have the expertise within his organization to manage, install.
Or the funding to maintain those things. I don't yet have any history of what's been spent, what kind of repairs are necessary. The gate over here to the alley, I know every time it rains, it doesn't work. That's just one issue. I'm not certain what the front turnstiles and scanners require. That's outside my wheelhouse.
Well, I think as far as the funding goes, the sheriff was correct, I believe, when he said that they don't have the funding for that. That funding was in the maintenance operation of the sheriff's office, and when the sheriff's office left the jail, that maintenance piece, as far as budget, stayed with the jail trust. So the sheriff does not have that, neither do you. So that is going to be a consideration we're going to have to make. We're going to have to find the money from somewhere, whether that's giving it to you or to the sheriff. And it probably does make sense having it somewhere here on this campus where there's somebody going to be here. But maybe it's not you, maybe it's IT.
It might be a good idea, if you let me interrupt, to bring in vendors who are experienced with this, who can assess the condition of the equipment today, and then help us make determinations whether or not we want to keep that equipment and continue to service it as we have, or whether we upgrade and in so doing, help ourselves a little bit with any maintenance there.
Well, I know you were visiting with the sheriff from the last meeting. I think it was discussed that you guys would, the sheriff's office and your office would visit to kind of, so you can get a grasp of this stuff. I would recommend that you bring IT into that, talk to Dane and Rich and see what their, yeah.
Parts of that, we can.
Right. Parts of this change may fall under your house. Part of it might fall under IT. I think what we need to do is you need to visit with the sheriff, find out, talk to, Baisden, Under Sheriff Anderson, who were here when the sheriff's office was, had the maintenance and were operating it. They may have an idea as far as ticket load, how often stuff it breaks.
Mm-hmm.
They can maybe give you some historical information, and then between you and IT and them kind of discuss who can handle what, and then we can start getting some pricing.
We'll break this down into inventory and again, what we can't do. Turnstiles, gates, cameras, that kind of thing.
Yeah, talk to IT, please.
Okay.
And here's another thing moving forward, the sheriff's office is still, they said they're still gonna, be taking care of the security. So if we do bring experts in, as it relates to cameras and other items, we need to make sure that the sheriff's office is still involved in those
Taking
discussions.
care of or monitoring?
Monitoring.
Yeah.
They're going to be the boots on the ground taking care of the security here. So they're going to be using and utilizing the equipment that we have here. So we need to make sure that they are capable of that. So they need to be a part of that process when we're looking at what
Sure.
additional items we may be bringing online in the future.
Any further questions? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion receive update.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there any citizen participation? Anybody signed up? Any board comments?
None for me.
None for me.
Zero. Any new business?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned. That is frightening.
Mhm.
All right, we're gonna call the committee on to order. Seeing all three districts represented, that'll be roll call. Notice that the meeting was properly posted on January 20th, 2022. First item is approval of minutes for January
So moved.
10th, 2022.
I will second approval of the minutes.
There's a motion. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 2, discussion possible action regarding the ICB exterior building envelope project.
And I think we're ready to go to the PBA meeting to discuss how we move forward as recommended by this body.
Okay.
Also, we did have Midwest Wrecking out last weekend to rattle the outside of the ICB. There were 6 locations identified where we had loose and unsecured paneling bricks. That was taken care of, and we're in good shape here, I think, to walk the sidewalks without fear of being hit in the head.
So no scaffolding needed.
And they went over the building by hand.
Great.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to receive report?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion clearly passes. To discuss item number 3, discussion possible action regarding security in ICB, including sheriff's personnel, equipment, installation of equipment, location of equipment, hours of operation. I'm seeing that the project is moving forward.
Nothing new here.
New.
So what's holding us up from having something?
There is a MOU between the sheriff's office and the PBA, which I brought forth last meeting, that needs to go before the PBA for execution, and then identification of funds to fund that contract.
Okay, that's one piece though. Are we finished on the demo?
No,
Okay,
I need some kind of a floor plan as to where we install equipment, how this works with openings, closings, AI and door openers, timing, and that kind of thing. So it's a little more involved than simply throwing some scanners out there.
exactly. That's what I was getting at. But we don't need an MOU in place to be able to have those discussions, right? MOU is going to be for the
Personnel to
the personnel.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So,
And I think that security and how it's operated needs to probably be discussed with the sheriff's office in detail, because they've raised some questions and issues about the 4th floor crossover and how to properly secure the rest of the building after hours, those kinds of things. So that's been brought to my attention.
So-
And
I think that's pretty easy. in my opinion, afford for a crossover after hours. I thought about that. We should just be able to click that one entry point off.
Okay,
But some of the other issues that they raised for after hours, yeah, we need to figure that one out.
Would it not be appropriate at this time? Because I agree, we need to figure out, we got an area for people to enter ICB and to have some security. I don't know if we have enough. We may need to open that up some more. I think that's part of what we need to talk to the sheriff and his security staff about. Would it not be appropriate at this time to, on our next meeting, have an executive session, security discussion with the sheriff, with Keith, and so we can make sure that we're all on the same page as it relates to the ICD security?
yes,
Are we to that point?
I
know
think
we've had the
so.
discussion in the past. We've talked about footprints. We've looked at the space available, and everybody thought that was the best spot. That was going to be easiest.
I don't know that the
I think there was
sheriff's,
even layout, if I recall correctly.
I don't know if the sheriff's personnel are all on the same page. I get different viewpoints, depending on who I speak with. One has to do with equipment, the other has to do with staffing, times of day, those kinds of things. And so I think it'd be a good idea to put everybody interested in the same room.
I think right now, this person's talking to this person and this
Yeah.
one's talking to somebody else. Let's get everybody in the same room,
Right.
on the same page, figure it out.
Is there a motion on item 3?
Motion to proceed as discussed.
I will second.
All those.
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 4, discussion possible action regarding capital projects for Lincoln Building, parking lot of 300,000, the marquee for 75.
I think we strike this item until we have a way clear later this fiscal year and perhaps bring it back when funding is available.
Is there any action?
Just one question on the parking lot. Where did that 300,000 come from?
It wasn't 300, I believe it was,
That's
that
what's
was a
on here.
$300,000 estimate to do the entire parking lot.
Yeah, where did that estimate come from?
That was from the engineer's office. It's so much money per square foot.
Yeah, that was.
Did you talk to?
For the entire parking lot? Your district, I think, actually just did a small piece for quite a bit less.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty small piece too, compared to that overall parking.
Well, so the 300,000 is for all the parking, is that right? And we've talked about potentially moving social services maybe into a building out there onto that campus. I don't know if that's still on the table, but that has been discussed in the past. And I think moving forward with let's go ahead and do a whole new parking lot everywhere out there is a little bit premature. But if there's areas that the election board is going to need right around the building or whatever, we can kind of discuss those on a individual area basis. But I think we're premature on the whole thing. So yeah, I think when you guys struck it last time, that was probably the appropriate action. But it's back today. So I'll move to strike.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding Metro 1 and 2 capital projects, cameras for 300,000, elevator badge access for 50,000. So
I think this one needs to be stricken as well until a later date.
why?
Well, or maybe not. If
Well,
you
we've
can.
got- so we do a capital improvements list for public building,
Mhm.
for infrastructure. Why have we not developed a capital improvement list for PBA? Can we?
We have, it
these are
probably
items that we
needs to be
wanna do.
updated at this point for sure. But I think with so much in the air now, and everything dedicated towards furnishing the sheriff with a new facility, these things become secondary.
So So your issue with this isn't that you don't want to move forward with it, you just don't see a funding mechanism at this particular
Yeah,
time.
I don't have any issues with it. I'll do what's asked of me for sure. But the way the agenda item was written suggests to me that every allocated and unallocated dollar should be set aside, and that's clearly made a priority for the sheriff. We can put these on a watch list or a capital list and certainly develop that and keep it updated. I think that's prudent.
They're on that capital list. It's got two sections for infrastructure and for PBA, and they're on the list.
These items, yeah.
Each one of these items in particular?
So Metro One, Investors Capital, Kraus. Of
So
course, I
these
took
items
Kraus
weren't
off.
necessary on the agenda?
They're on your capital list.
But certainly need to be updated quarterly. Things change that quickly.
All right, is there a motion on this item? Okay, so we're looking for direction. Is there a motion to strike item? All right. If there's no motion, we will take no action on this item and proceed to the next. Is there any action? Seeing none. Item number 6, discussion and possible action regarding capital projects for investor capital building, security 100,000 and a new roof for 250.
And I think we treat this in the same manner.
And that same manner would be, are there any items that you would like to take action? Seeing none, no action. Item 7, similar discussion, possible action, capital projects for Kraus building.
I
second
would
floor
strike
build-out.
this item.
Yeah, I would move to strike.
I'll second
We-
that.
Since
Alright,
we're not we will not be the owners of this facility, so.
There is a
think that
motion
we
and a second
need
on
to
the
strike
floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes. Discussion possible action regarding the ICB exterior building envelope project.
I think this
That
is a
sounds
duplication.
Painfully similar. So is there a motion to strike this item?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Charles, if you'd like to vote. All right, item 9, discussion possible action regarding security and investors capital building, including sheriff's personnel, equipment, installation of equipment, location. Wow.
I think that's a
It's a
duplication.
duplicate, yeah, so
I
I
don't
move
have
to
a copy.
strike.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item number 10, discussion possible action regarding repairing portions of the parking lot south of the.
I think
Lincoln
we've moved
Building
on this
Board.
already.
I'll move to strike this one.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Discussion and possible action regarding Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Oklahoma City Alumni Chapter to use the Lincoln Building event.
I think
move
this
to
can be
strike
stricken.
this.
We've already.
Yeah, I'll move to strike this item.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there any citizen participation? Anybody signed up online? All right, seeing none, are there board comments?
None.
None for me.
None. Any new business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned.
Yeah, and then I missed the lady. But I called them.